Hello, everybody. I was asked to do the midweek vital verse for you all for this third week of October. And when Eric asked me to do it, I was a little nervous, but I also knew instantaneously which verse I was going to use. And that verse is Matthew 18, 21 and 22, which goes a little like this. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother and sisters who have sinned against me? Up to 7 times? And Jesus answered, I tell you not 7 times, but 70 times 7 times. Now, folks, I don't know if you're really quick at math, but that's 490 times that I'm supposed to forgive people over and over and over again. Sometimes forgiveness is super simple and you can give it very freely. Mostly that's when you really, really love someone and you love someone very deeply. For example, your child who storms off, says, I hate you, runs upstairs, and then 2 hours later is crying and saying, I'm sorry. And you instantaneously forgive them and you forget it. So sometimes it can be a very simple thing to do. And on those occasions, I shine at this verse. However, there are some times when the pain and the hurt is so deep and so bad that we tend to put up a little wall. And that wall is there to protect us from feeling the pain, from working through the pain, and from letting it go, quite frankly. Sometimes that happens a lot if you have a family and someone has hurt your child or caused them a great deal of grief and pain. And it's really difficult at those times to let go of things and to follow Matthew 18, verses 21 and 22. It's a whole lot easier to put up that wall and just live with it than it is to address it. My covenant group, we do a weekly reading in a book called A Guide to Prayer, All Who Walk with God. And I'm going to read a little tiny excerpt from Marjorie Thompson on forgiveness. Forgiveness is a possibility only when we acknowledge the negative impact of a person's actions or attitudes on our lives. Until we are honest about our actual feelings, forgiveness has no meaning. In other words, forgiveness doesn't mean that you deny the hurt, that it just didn't happen. When we forgive others, we're not saying that it's okay. What we're simply doing is we're releasing those feelings and that pain to God and letting go of that hold that it has on us. I remember 20 years ago, at which point this kind of applied, and it took me a very long time to get over this and a very long time to forgive my father, who decided he didn't have children once we were adults for about 8 or 10 years. And we all couldn't understand what was going on. And there was a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of anger. And we all pushed it aside so we could live our lives. And then one day I couldn't just let go. So I wrote a letter to him, and then we invited him to our family Christmas, and he showed up, which we didn't expect. From that point forward, a little bit of healing and a little bit of forgiving started. But I remember the moment years later when I completely forgave him. And that was I had the lightest feeling I have ever had. And it was like the sun came out and I was floating on the water. And I felt that way because it was this insane relief of, thank heavens that's over. I didn't realize just how exhausting it was to not forgive that person. So we have this thing that lays on our shoulders constantly. And until we let go of those things and forgive people, it kind of messes with our soul and our spirit and our heart. Sometimes we don't think that people deserve forgiveness, but then at those moments, it's important to remember this, that God forgives all of our sins. He forgives all of our sins on a daily basis. Jesus forgave men who betrayed him, men and women who murdered him. And somehow that makes me look at Matthew 18 and say to myself, if my God and my Jesus forgives that and continually forgives me for all these little things that I do and the big things that I do that are just not very Christian-like, then who am I to judge someone else as to whether or not they deserve my forgiveness? And the truth of the matter is that it hurts my soul. It hurts our soul more than it hurts the other person who you are not forgiving. So again, remember Matthew 18:21-22, not 7 times that you forgive your fellow man, but 70 times 7 times. Good afternoon. Have a great, great day, great week. And I hope this touches your heart.